not really as different as it may seem. My first interest was music. I suppose the flirtation with left-wing politics was my second love. My third love was butchery, meat, animals, livestock. And so I decided to become a butcher. But of course, in those days, it was a very different system from today. We still had apprenticeships in those days. It was still the early 80s, and we didn't have YTS schemes and the like hadn't started to come in, so you had to be an apprentice. So I went and see, this is the kind of experience that you don't get in modern Britain. Youngsters aren't getting it, and I think they should. A butcher, James Gilbert, a very good butcher in Camden, and I went to work for him as an apprentice. Just doing the menial stuff to begin with, but really to learn all about meat, the preparation of meat, what it looked like, what it felt like. And you have to realise I was still very small. The size of a sugar cube, but quite a small sugar cube even, And I just remember these wonderful days, huge slabs of meat, stretching off to me into the distance, say a leg of pork, maybe that size, maybe in real life, but in my life, the size I was, the thing was stretching ahead like a beach. And I remember James, Mr. Gilbert, I always called him, James, as I know him now, he fucked my wife, so I think I can call him James. James would say, "You there, young'un," great accent, "you walk along that stretch of lamb there, and one end to the other, and then you'll know lamb." And that was the way you did it in those days, especially if you were as small as me. It made things easier in many ways. It's probably the one profession where being the size I was then was a help rather than a hindrance. And I would walk, get my pack on my back, put a bit of tea in there, a few biscuits, and just set off, to walk the length of the lamb. It'd take me a day or two maybe, because it's a fair old stretch, but I'd uncover little interesting things all the way along, so I was always interested. I was taking pictures all the time, little bit of fat, a little bit of sinew, changing textures of the meat as you walked along it. And it wasn't just lamb, slices of beef, chicken. Chicken was amazing because, you'd have a chicken leg, it starts here, curves around there and comes back around there. Well, I mean, you can imagine to a young apprentice butcher like me, a nice big leg of chicken to wander around. I mean, it's exciting, it's fascinating stuff, and it's when you're young, you need to do that. Butchers aren't doing it these days. They're just coming into the job and slicing it up and dishing it out. They're not really walking the length of meat the way I was, and that went fine. That went really fine for a long time. I was happy being an apprentice for 9 or 10 years. I didn't have a problem with it, but I suppose what happened really was what was bound to happen, which is La cucaracha, la cucaracha, la 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 la, la cucaracha, la cucaracha, the gayest dance in Mexico. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. La 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 la, la cucaracha, la cucaracha, the gayest dance in Mexico! Ladies and gentlemen, you'd be surprised to know that La Cucaracha means nothing more romantic than the little cockroach. So for all you English people, here it is in English. The little cockroach, the little cockroach, la 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 la. The little cockroach, the little cockroach, just watch the fucker go. I mean, it's still difficult to talk about, the war changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and for me. You see, the Blur versus Oasis war was one that you couldn't avoid. whether you liked Blur, whether you liked Oasis, whether you weren't interested in the whole field of popular music, you couldn't avoid it because my father was neither a Blur fan nor an Oasis fan. You know, he liked contemporary classics, you know, the pops, that sort of thing. You know, the Hooked on Classics, that was his favourite sort of record, you know. But even he spent 3 years in an Oasis prisoner of war camp, you know, because he said something Gallagher looks like a monkey, something. Of course, off he went to the camp, you know. So it didn't matter whether... Who was it? Oh, I can't remember who it was. So yeah, it was a hard time. And,
La cucaracha, la cucaracha!
Donald Duck.
Good sense, innocence, cripple mankind. Dead king, many things I can define. Old cages, birds, fighting practical mind. Incense and peppermints, the color of time. Who cares what games we choose? Little to win, but nothing to lose. Incense and peppermints, meaningless bounds. Turn on, tune in, turn your eyes around. Look at your side, look at your side. Look at your side, look at your side. By the Cucaracha world in two. Throw your pride to one side, the least you can do. Beat makes and politics, nothing is new. A yardstick for lunatics, one point of view. Who cares what games we choose? Little to win, but nothing to lose.
Hello there, I'm an American comedian you've never heard of. I may even be Canadian. You can watch me tonight on Whose Line Is It Anyway with Clive Anderson, 10:30, Channel 4, and watch me pretending to have huge bosoms. Watch me tonight, Channel 4. Whose line is it anyway? La Cucaracha!